everybody, Julianne Jones here, and I'm starting something new in this first week of January 2015. I've decided that I want to do some video to answer your questions over on the fan page for Q&A Monday, because it's a little bit easier for me than having to type out a big long answer. It's more interactive, and all the experts keep telling me that video is the thing, especially if you want to get into people's news feeds, etc. in social media, and especially on Facebook. And since I'm always looking for ways to do that, I thought I'd give it a shot. So what I want to do today is, for our very first Q&A Monday of 2015, answer your questions over on the fan page. So I'm going to read those questions, and then I'll answer them. And there were only a couple today. It's kind of odd. Every once in a while, I have a whole bunch of people post questions, but for the most part, I usually get 3 or 4. So if you're just watching this and you're wondering what the heck's Q&A Monday, go over to my fan page at facebook.com/Julianne Jones Inc. Like the page, and then every Monday you can post your questions on the Q&A Monday post, and I'm going to be answering them in this video. So question number 1 today comes from Joel Nelson, and he asks, for people who do direct sales full-time, what's a good balance between your personal business and working with your team? Great question, Joel, and that really depends on the size of your team. So the bigger your team gets, the more time they demand, the more time you're going to want to spend with them, because that residual income becomes a bigger part of your income, and the less time you'll spend on your personal business. That being said, I don't think there's ever a time when you just ignore your personal business and become a leader to your team. You always have to maintain some personal business to keep things going for your own business, and also as a training mechanism for your team, especially if you're doing party plan. So it kind of depends on the size of your team. If it's 50 or fewer, I would say the ratio is going to be pretty much 80% personal business, 20% team and team management. Once you get between 50 and 500, that ratio is going to go up to maybe 30% team management, 70% personal business, parties, that kind of thing. And then the bigger your team gets, the more you adjust that. And it's going to be different for everyone, and it's kind of a personal preference. The one thing that I would highly recommend, though, is that you put some systems in place for training and mentoring your team, so that you have a new consultant training system, so that you're not training every single new person that comes into your business one-on-one. You have some video training set up, or you're utilizing some of the back office tools that your company probably has available, but that is a systematic approach. And the same thing with working with your emerging leaders, with mentoring your team, rather than doing one-on-one calls with everybody, do a group call for everybody, a couple times a month. Those types of things work great. So the ratio changes depending on the size of your team, but make sure that you maintain a strong personal business no matter what. I'm working with a leader with a company who has over 10,000 people on her team, and she still does at least a couple parties a month, just to maintain her personal business and to make sure that she's still out there working and, can use that experience when she's mentoring her team. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much. Next question from Kimberly Luker. How do you work against the sort of anti-direct sales sentiment that seems to be happening lately? Well, it's not just lately. I hate to tell you, Kimberly. It's been happening pretty much since the beginning of this industry. And I think it's because a lot of people, number one, don't understand the business that we're in and how it works. Number two, unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there previously and still are who don't really work in the integrous way, in an integrous way in their business. So, they show up for a party and they pass out catalogs and sit down and take orders without creating an experience, or they're spamming people and adding them to groups without their permission on Facebook, or if it's a multi-level marketing business, they're doing things that aren't necessarily honest or forthright to get people to look at their opportunity, that type of thing. So I think the only thing you can really do is to be as honest and forthcoming and in integrity as possible when it comes to your business. Make sure that you're passionate about what you do and about your products, so that when you're offering those, it's coming from a place of your own passion, not trying to get someone to do something. I never believe that that's a good idea. And you can sort of look at yourself as an educator. You're going to be educating those people who are frankly just ignorant about our industry and all that it really truly can provide, and all the positives, because of a few sort of bad apples, both past and present. And unfortunately, probably future. There's always going to be that bad apple. So you can be a shining example, and you can help re-educate people by having an answer when someone says, oh, well, that's just a pyramid scheme. Well, do you really understand what a pyramid scheme is? because most people don't. And I would look that up so you know the answer. A pyramid scheme is an illegal financial scam, basically, and that has nothing to do with our industry. There's nothing illegal about what we do. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a multi-level, direct downline type structure, but there's nothing illegal or out of integrity about it. So educate yourself and just make sure that you're doing everything right. Good question. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Next question is from Kimberly Pittman, another Kimberly. What do you recommend to get past customers re-engaged? That's a great question. And I know I'm guilty of this. We have a tendency to sort of fall short on our follow-up. And so, customers fall through the cracks and you haven't talked to them in a while, and then you're kind of embarrassed because you don't want to call since you haven't called in a while. I know that for me personally, follow-up is really important. So if you can come up with a system for following up with your customers and your hosts as soon as you're done interacting with them, like after a party or once they get their products, sending thank you notes or reaching out to them via Facebook. Social media has made this a lot easier than it was back in the day when I was doing this, and there was no such thing even almost as email. And you can reach out and just say thank you and ask if they need any support around their products or if they have any questions. Just sort of keep in touch. You can set up like a monthly e-zine. Sometimes companies will do that for you, and then you can kind of personalize it. Or you can reach out to your customers in that way. So good follow-up will help you avoid that, detached, or how'd you put it, unengaged customers, past customers. If you haven't done that and you have this whole stack of customers that aren't really that engaged, consider sending out an email and I'm a big believer here in just being totally honest and authentic and taking the bull by the horns, naming the elephant in the living room and just saying, hey, I messed up. I haven't been good with follow-up. My bad. I'm really sorry, but you are important to me, and so I'm reaching out now via this email to tell you all the exciting things that are happening with my company this year, to let you know that you're important to me for these reasons, and these are the services I offer, and reach out in that way. You could also make personal calls depending on how big your stack is. I think phone calls are always better, or personal email messages are even better nowadays. Facebook messages, people tend to check their Facebook messages more readily than they do email. But reach out to them in that way, and just say, hey, I messed up and I'm here now and I'd like to reconnect. So that's my best advice. And then the final question. Was there another question? No, there weren't. And then Rachel Elder just said, this is such a great idea. I love it. Thanks, Rachel. I appreciate you saying that. So I hope you like this. I'm going to post the video, and I'll tag everybody who asked questions on the fan page. And if you want to participate in this next week, all you have to do is just post your question when you see the post, or else go to the fan page on Monday morning. It posts bright and early. Post your question. I'm going to record the video before the end of the day, and then I'll post it so that you have the answer from me. Hope you're having a fabulous evening and a great week. Happy New Year, and I will talk to you next Monday.